Hey, welcome to 100 Mile Drive. This is my second video and today I brought for you Lexus NX350H hybrid that has 2.5 liter combined 240 horsepower and 167 pound-feet of torque, all-wheel drive, and this is a dynamic drive, meaning I'm gonna drive it on city streets, highway and canyon roads, and I'm going to tell you how does it feel to drive, and at the end I'll give it a feel score. Let's go. All right, so the reason we got Lexus NX350H because it was in our short list as we are shopping for a luxury crossover or maybe an SUV, I don't know yet, but this one of the cars I really wanted to drive. One reason, it does 0 to 60 in 7.2 seconds, so it has a bigger battery, bigger electric motor, it has a reworked new chassis, new platform. So everything sounds really good in theory, on paper, all the reviews I've been watching. So now it's my time to actually drive it, and I did drive it already for at least 50 miles. So I already have some data that I got from this car, and now it's time for me to share it with you and actually tell you how does it feel to drive. All right, and first is the initial look and feel of this Lexus NX350H. And personally, I do like the language Lexus uses. Some people criticize it for this, grille. But I think even though it's massive, in person, when you actually see the car, I think it looks fantastic. And in this white color, it looks even better. This black and white accents make it look nice. Now I have here a pretty base package on this car with standard wheels, but I think they still look good. Lexus does a good job with their wheel design. The side profile also looks nice. It's a very flowy kind of design. So I think it just caters to most people. Like, I don't see anything controversial that stands out or jumps at me where I don't like something. So I think it looks fantastic. From the rear, it also looks good. I do like this, the tail light, that bar that actually most automakers do now, like even European ones. And Lexus does it nice as well. Now some of the black accents here as well. So I think the car overall looks nice. So I do really like the exterior of the car. Now let's do a quick door sound check. Let's open the door. Now, as you know, the new NX doesn't have a latch. It's more like there's a button that you have to actually press and it opens. The door feels heavy. I kind of like that actually. The door feels nice. It does feel safe. So door sound check passed. Now let's go. All right, and now I'm inside Lexus NX350H. Let's start the car. Here's the power button. So quickly, I want to address the quality of this car. This is what interior review is all about. And Lexus is being Lexus. It does a nice job of putting nice quality materials all around. I mean, look at these two-tone seats, black and white. They're nice. One thing I can tell you that what Lexus did a good job with, when you're sitting in this vehicle, it does feel luxurious. Like, I can tell I'm sitting in a car that is not cheap, okay, by no means. It's not a high-end luxury car like a Lamborghini Urus or something, but certainly this car feels more expensive. Like, even this hard plastic stuff, like all this piano, whatever that materials, everything is nicely molded, like nothing squeaks, rattles. All the soft materials as well. All the buttons are nice. There's some little metal accents on the buttons. So this is where they did a good job. Now, if you're looking for a car that, you want a good quality, I mean, Lexus is literally known for that. Like this soft plastic here. This is all nice. I was kind of wondering how this screen would look like. And here I have a smaller screen, not the large one you can get with the premium plus or premium package. But it's all nice. Like, it looks very nice. It's like driver oriented. It's slightly tilted towards the driver. The steering wheel is very nice. Everything feels solid. So this is where I think look and feel is quite impressive. Like, this is my top score on this. Now let's go ahead and drive it. All right, driving Lexus NX350H in the city. First, I want to do acceleration in a normal mode. And there was a little wheel spin there. So how does it accelerate, Lexus NX350H? Now, this car has 240 horsepower, has a bigger electric motor. It accelerates fine, it's fairly quick, but if I were to describe how does it feel when it accelerates, let's do one more quick punch here from the stop sign. All right, let's go. basically what happens, the hood goes up a little bit, there's like a half a second delay, and then power comes in. Now it also comes with that CVT transmission making this loud noise. It feels, like I said, fairly quick. I was hoping it's a little faster, but it's fine. I guess it's fine for what it is. Now it doesn't feel premium. What I was hoping that with the bigger electric motor, they use more of an electric power to give you the smooth acceleration, kind of like similar to electric car, but that's not the case here. In fact, the way they paired electric motor here, you pretty much don't even know. Like if you don't tell me this is hybrid, you just tell me it has a CVT transmission, I won't even know that there is electric motor working here. You only hear it on the lower speeds, like this little whining sound, but otherwise you don't know. So it's very seamless compared to what it used to be. So that way they did a pretty good job making that, you know, hybrid system more refined. Now we'll talk more about acceleration. Let's talk about now suspension. I specifically drive on this Tampa Avenue here in San Fernando Valley, where it's kind of like a beat up road, so I can talk more about suspension. And to my surprise, I was hoping it would be more smoother. I mean, this car does have a flowing feel, but suspension is rather busy. It kind of picks up all these little imperfections on the road. I mean, all the moves are fine. It doesn't do anything crazy abnormal, but I was hoping, Lexus being Lexus, that it feels more premium, it feels more bump observant, like shocks will do a more refined job, rather than they are responding a little more to it. And even it feels for passengers, like my wife drove as a passenger on the side in the rear seat, and she also noticed that the car responds to all the little things more than you would hope it to. So while Lexus being smooth, this NX350H, but I felt the suspension is a little busy. Let's just put it this way. Now it might be better for some of the younger crowds. You know, that means it's kind of going towards this firmer side, where rather than being just flowy and all that soft and all that. That's what Lexus was known for, right, compared to rivals, where they're kind of going towards the European rivals, trying to bring a little bit sportiness, bring younger crowds. Maybe that's what they're trying to do, but I was hoping that suspension be a little bit more refined, where it is not. And now while I'm driving this car in the city, I just want to talk more about how easy it is to drive in the city. And NX350H being a crossover, it feels very easy to drive it in the city. One is for its high platform. Two is that it has a decent acceleration in your stop and go traffic. I mean, power is adequate for this car, is pretty adequate. Now I would prefer driving it more in sports mode, because compared to traditional car, it doesn't do all this revving in the lower gears. It's only when you press, it's just more responsive in sports mode rather than normal mode, or of course eco mode. So I would personally drive it more in sports mode unless I'm cruising, or I don't need to accelerate as much. Other than that, I also like the brakes. Brakes are nice. The brake pedal is very soft, and the braking power comes gradually, and when you press a little harder, it comes immediately. So the tuning of the brake pedal is very comfortable, I would say. So for like ladies, this car will be very enjoyable to drive. The next thing I want to talk about is steering. The steering in Lexus NX is nicer than what I was expecting, in a sense that it's not loose, it's not heavy, it's balanced. It's very well balanced. It's also very responsive. Now I'll talk more about it in the canyon roads, where I already had a chance to drive this car, but the steering, I'll say it now, the steering is more responsive than its chassis. It's a big plus in the city driving, like where you have to go, you know, through a lot of left and right turns. This car will do perfectly fine. In fact, it's enjoyable to steer this car through corners where you don't have to, you know, push it too much. So in the city driving, this car is very enjoyable to drive, and like I said, the biggest takeaways from this is the steering, the brakes, adequate acceleration. The only thing I was hoping to get is a better response from chassis to give it a little bit more premium feel. All right, so now let's drive it on the highway. All right, and now we're gonna merge the highway. And now if you can see, there's a Lambo in front of me. Yeah, we're not gonna race with Lambo by no means. That's not what this channel is all about. All right, so merging the highway, flooring, okay. Adequate power to merge the highways. Nothing substantially super fast, but it's adequate. Definitely better than the previous generations. All right, so again, what are we gonna see on the highway? If you watch the first video that I posted, basically I just want to see how easy it is to cruise on the highway for your long journeys, right? Is this a cruiser? Is this a good car for highway? I am definitely want to look at the sound insulation. In fact, that's the first thing we're gonna look at. I have this tool here. The little cap fell off. All right, there you go. So we're gonna measure the decibels when I hit 65 miles per hour. I'm at 65 now. 65, and it's measuring 63, 65. I'll give it 63. It's around 63. So that's not bad. Now, what I want to mention about sound insulation for those who are curious about it. Now, Lexus does a great job in terms of insulating the cabin in general. And by the way, it has a very nice sound system. This one doesn't have Mark Levinson. It has a standard 10-speaker premium audio, which is nice. Now, if you're thinking whether you should upgrade, unless you are really like, it has to be perfect for you, or you love listening to the music, then yes, go ahead and do it. Otherwise, the system that the sound system it comes with is really, really nice. It sounds very clean. It's powerful enough. I wish I could play it for you here, but it's all the copyrighted stuff. But sound is pretty good. Now, as far as the cabin insulation, it's good in terms of insulating the noise around me. Like I don't hear cars around me. What I do hear is the road noise from the tires, and that's like a normal thing. I should be hearing it, right? But I hear it a little more, and that's the first thing I noticed driving this NX on the highway. It almost feels like I'm riding on the bigger tires than I should be. You know how like sometimes if you get a car with those bigger wheels, the low profile tires, you get more road noise. So that's how this car feels. It's not a deal breaker. It just feels like somehow the cabin should be better insulated from underneath the car, I guess, if that's the right thing to say. So that's the observation. Otherwise, I don't hear the cars around me. It's fairly quiet. It's pleasant. Now, is it a cruiser? This car has nice, comfortable seats. They're not plush. They're not firm. They're just good. They're comfortable. The position is nice. So it's a nice all-around cabin to be in. And yes, definitely I can go on a long journey. Now, this car is not that flowy. Like maybe that's what RX is all about. Like I'm hoping that when I drive RX, that it gives me what I'm missing in this car, which is more premium feel from suspension, maybe more sound insulation, like all these things that I was hoping to see in this car. So maybe I'll get that in RX. So this car is slightly firmer, not firm, but slightly firmer. Yet it is very enjoyable to drive it. I can definitely cruise on the highways. I can go for long journeys, no problem. That's what Lexus is good for. All right, and the next thing I just want to quickly see, is it easy to overtake other cars, right? Let's say the car in front of me, you know, the pressing the gas. Yes, it's no problem, no problem. So the mid-range power is adequate. It's definitely adequate. So it's easy to drive on a highway. It's easy to cruise, and it's easy to overtake cars, and it's easy to maintain the speed. The steering correction is good. The steering, I don't want to say tightened, but it certainly feels more weighted on the highway. So that means I can literally relax. I can talk to you guys, like I can talk to someone here. Of course, not be distracted, but at the same time, the car is nicely flowing in its lane without a problem. Like I don't have to constantly try to like correct or maneuver the steering. So that's a nice thing that this car gives me confidence driving it on the highway. Alright, so now let's drive it on the canyon roads. Alright, driving Lexus NX350 on the canyon roads. Quick acceleration. Actually, for this test, I'm going to put it in sport mode because I kind of want more response from this chassis. So here's what I would like to talk about. First, of course, you can drive this car on the canyon roads, no problem. But I can already see a familiar chassis. This is a signature that Lexus Toyota has in their chassis, where of course we know these are not sports cars, right? But they're trying to compete with their rivals. So if you remember, I mentioned in the CD that the steering is a little faster than the chassis, and that's exactly what you see driving it on the canyon roads. It's like when you steer, the European cars, when you steer, they kind of slice the corners. They slice the corners, and it feels so nice. Whether you're driving, you know, whatever, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, even our Volkswagen does that. And the rear also kind of follows it quickly. Now, when you drive Lexus here, even without driving it fast, you can see it very easily. Is that when you steer, the chassis kind of bends and then comes. Like there's a slight delay. When you steer, the chassis kind of follows you. So it's something just to consider. Is that the way this car, like, you know, if you want to drive it more in the twisty roads, it's not the car you're just gonna enjoy. It's capable of driving on twisty roads. Another thing, it's capable of course, dealing with dangerous situations. If you have to overtake a car in front of you, it'll do it. It's just you have to understand that the way the body responds to the steering is with a kind of a delay, and then you will see a lot more understeer in this car. That's what you'll see in a lot of Toyota products, I would say. Of course, if we go to a sporty cars, like, you know, the little IS and all that, it's tuned differently. But here in NX, I saw that in ES, RX, Toyota products that I drove. This is a signature where the car's chassis kind of like it follows the steering. It doesn't move with it, kind of. It doesn't like slice through the corners, turns. It kind of follows it. And that's the biggest difference between, you know, let's say a Lexus NX and then the BMW X3, for example. That's something you will see only driving this car on the canyon roads. And you don't have to drive it fast. You just have to drive it on twisty roads. This is what I call orchestra, where the car is orchestrating, where we put acceleration, brakes, we put chassis, you know, the engine, we put everything at work to see how well it actually performs under stress. And this car is easy to hit the limit. Like I don't need any effort to have it start sliding, which means if I am presented with a dangerous situation, it's not that it's gonna lose control, but at some point I don't know what will happen, like how it will behave, like what will be the, you know, the output later on. So that's something you will need to really test with this car to know. So it's all predictable, but it's very easy to hit the limits of this car. That is something to know. Otherwise, you know, you can drive it. The biggest takeaway for me is I love the steering. I love responsiveness from steering. It's quite direct. I'm pretty impressed that this is what they've made a huge improvement on. I just wish and hope that, let's say, the next generation of NX has a more premium pull, like or push, when in terms of power delivery. I hope it'll be a little bit more refined in terms of suspension, like it'll feel more premium. And I hope the chassis will be more agile, like it'll be more nimble, where it'll respond quicker. These are the improvements I'm hoping to see in the upcoming generations of Lexus NX. Otherwise, it's a nice, enjoyable car. I enjoyed it driving the city. Highway is definitely not for Canyon roads, but you can have, you know, a little bit of fun. That's fine. Those are my thoughts, and now let me give it a final feel score. Alright guys, and now is the time to give it a final feel score. Lexus NX350H hybrid. So what do I think about this car? How does it feel to drive? First of all, I think it's the car for someone who wants just a calm, like quiet, nice ride, someone who appreciates luxury over performance, and someone who just wants a good, reliable, dependable transportation. Maybe you want to buy this car, not lease it and keep it. This car will age really well. It looks very nice. I think it's overall a great car. In fact, I might even consider it just for the reason of it being dependable transportation, and at the same time it does everything pretty well. It's not a driver's car for sure. It's not a car I'm going to enjoy on the back roads. It's not a car I'm going to look forward to driving because I want to drive it, you know. But this car that does everything just fine, well, and it does feel luxurious. I think that's where Lexus did a great job. They made it definitely feel luxurious. That's a great job there. Now the final score to this car is going to be 6 out of 10, just from the way it feels to drive. Okay, so definitely recommend you guys go ahead and rent it for a day. Don't just settle for driving it on a dealership and then just buying it. Make sure you spend at least a couple of hours with this car to actually understand what it's all about before you commit to buying. So I hope you like this video. For more videos like this, make sure to subscribe to this channel, give it a like, thumbs up, and I'll see you soon on the next video.